keeping 7 cards before we do get underway here. And he is happy, is the Kansas Jayhawk fan. And Ben will as well. And let's start game 2 of our semifinals, shall we? With the Temple of Abandon.
We're curious to see if Aaron has cut some of the mana acceleration. I know you mentioned a few times against Blue-White that you like to cut some number of Sylvan Caryatids.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they do get swept up underneath a Supreme Verdict, which is one of the more important cards in this matchup anyway. You hate to lose your mana that way, especially when you're going to be boarding in some high-impact cards. So, Sylvan Caryatid, the ramping, of course, does help, but it's a little bit risky to be able to have that card. You're basically losing a land to a Wrath Effect. You see 2 mana. And this is going to be a Caryatid, so he's going to play this. And, to be fair, this card can be a little bit better on the play because you can establish Xenagos a little bit earlier and get that out ahead of schedule, maybe through some counter magic like a Dissolve. Obviously, the Negate's going to interact with that appropriately, as will Syncopate. So we'll see what happens here with Cook and his 0-3.
We'll see if Aaron's willing to try to resolve the Xenagos here, if he plays it safe and just runs out of Mistcutter Hydra.
Just as soon as possible. Once again, thank you for your patience.
There's a Temple of Abandon here for Cook, so he's going to do a little scry action. And that top card's going to the bottom. Let's see what the fob's going to be, if he has one at all.
Really deliberating over this one.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Mistcutter Hydra in his hand. He's got, I believe, 2 copies of Xenagos over there as well, as Stepka's going to cycle on the Azorius Charm on Cook's end step. But that 3rd land not coming to play untapped, bit of an issue. But the fact that he gets a scry is obviously a bonus, so Stepka's going to play a Plains here and just pass the turn back. You see his hand right now. I'm not sure if he has a 4th land, but he does have 2 copies of Supreme Verdict. He does have, I believe, both copies of Aetherling in his hand as well, and then a Revelation. So he's got some expensive cards, as here's a Mistcutter Hydra for 3. So just a baby Hydra here. He's going to come across for 3 points of damage. And I think we're going to see a Celestial Flare, and we are. Again, Stepka has more of those than most Blue-White lists. Sometimes you just see that as a 1 of in sideboards. But this is a 3 of in his sideboard. That's a lot of those.
Yeah, Adrian had 2, and certainly a card you would want against Green-Red. Mistcutter Hydra and Stormbreath Dragon are 2 of their best cards. They're very hard to answer at instant speed with most of your answers. And, of course, Attention Sphere doesn't answer those cards efficiently as well. It's a pretty big improvement in the matchup.
It's interesting, too, because, Flare can go from really good to quite bad, depending on what the opponent has. Elvish Mystic, Mutavault, things of that nature, a Satyr token. But in that situation, and there are some situations that you can craft where it gets the job that you're looking for done.
Yeah.
So you see a Temple of Enlightenment from Stepka. That was his turn. So now he's got 4 mana, but right now he's got that Syncopate available, which is going to play a really big role here. Because this Syncopate is probably going to tag whatever this is. And yeah, there's a Xenagos.
Certainly this has to be worthy of a Syncopate.
Yeah. I don't think Aaron expected that to resolve, and so it does get exiled, and we will have that placed into the exile pile in the graveyard here momentarily.
As Ben's hand is currently constructed, it is really exposed to a follow-up Planeswalker.
Yeah.
He just has some Supreme Verdicts, some Sphinx's Revelation. He has actually 2 Aetherlings, 2 Supreme Verdicts, and 2 Sphinx's Revelations.
Yeah. His hand is really awkward. He's got a ref for 1 here, and you can see he's not too thrilled about it, but I wouldn't be thrilled about having a ref for 1 either, to be fair.
Yeah. And now shields are down. Aaron can go crazy this turn, potentially.
Yeah. And I believe there's another Xenagos hanging out there for Cook, so it's a pretty good spot to be in. Might have a Rook Thar in his hand, too. See, tapping some mana. There's a Mistcutter Hydra for 4. It wouldn't matter if the shields were up then, because he was going to get punched in the mouth.
And now we're entering the stage of the game where Ben is able to respond on his own turn to what Aaron does. And if Aaron can follow up with more haste threats or more Planeswalkers, he's going to be able to hit Ben every turn and force Ben to respond. So this is a really good spot for Aaron to get himself into.
Supreme Verdict can be placed on the stack here. Obviously can't be countered. It's going to take care of both the creatures in play. So not a bad turn there from Stepka as he's stabilizing a bit here. Did draw the Attention Sphere for the turn, but not his 6th land to be able to cast one of those Aetherlings or a large Strings Revelation, as Cook does draw a Mountain for the turn. So let's see if he's got something to do with 5 mana. Looks like the answer is yes, and it's Xenagos, so that's a good post-verdict threat. We're going to see a Satyr token come out here momentarily and come across for 2.
And crank out a steady stream of 2/2s is generally what it's doing in this matchup.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the slow side, not great against Attention Sphere, but still part of Green Red Monster's overall game plan.
Temple of Enlightenment comes into play for Stepka. It is land number 6. It does unfortunately come into play tap, but the benefit of scrying is probably going to play a huge role here. You see Stepka really giving some thought here about what he wants to do with this card.
Yeah, in this spot, because of the way Ben's hand is composed with a lot of different routes, knowing what his draw step next turn is a really valuable piece of information.
See, Detention Sphere going to take care of the Planeswalker. Just a lot of 1-for-1 exchanges right now. Obviously what the blue-white player wants to be doing. Trying to keep the head above water until they can resolve a big Revelation.
Or possibly just Aetherling with a mana up would be good enough here to get it done.
If you could please make your way outside to the
Chandra Pyromaster the draw now. That's a pretty nice draw.
Very shortly.
Just the way that Cook is kind of pacing this game, there's a bunch of 1-for-1 exchanges. It's making it a little bit difficult here for Stepka. And all of the cards that, all the questions, I guess is a better word, that Cook are presenting are hard ones to answer. You know, they take unique answers as well.
Right, but you can also see the way the game's starting to shape up a little bit. Even though Aaron is playing threats that are hard to kill, he's playing Planeswalkers, which taxes Ben's resources a number of different ways. He's a little bit on the slow side, and for all the incremental edges that he's accumulating over the course of the game, that can all get undone by a big Revelations or even just Aetherling.
Yeah. Now here is a Chandra. And the first activation on Chandra, you probably go upstairs and then start zeroing, unless you really, really need a land. Now, land obviously doesn't hurt here for Cook because he's looking for that 6th land for Rurik-Thar. It looks like he is going to zero. Now there's a Gorkline Rampager. And that's kind of the risk you take by doing that. Because now that card just kind of goes away. But that also, you know, has the ability to get him closer to a land too. So.
Yeah, and I don't think Aaron would have really liked to have drawn that Rampager in that spot either. So not the end of the world.
That's a good Magic card.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Elspeth, Sun's Champion, is going to come out here for Stepka. And that's good for a magnitude of reasons. One, it's going to provide soldiers to keep his life total high. But 2, now Resolve Rurik-Thar doesn't matter nearly as much because he already has the answer to it on the table. So that makes things quite difficult. Now, Stormbreath Dragon off the top is pretty good.
It's very good. Stormbreath Dragon plus Chandra allows Aaron to take out Elspeth right away.
That's really, really, really big draw there from Cook. We'll see if that's the route he opts to take on this turn. He gets to shoot down a token too. Be hard pressed to pass this one up.
Yeah, Elspeth can run away with the game just by itself. I understand there's some reservation about playing further into Supreme Verdict in this spot, but Elspeth will just kill you by herself, so not much of a choice.
You know, it's obviously a situation where, you know, you have to make him have the Supreme Verdict too. Now, of course, we know that he does. As you see, Cook is going to actually use the zero ability here, put a forest into play. So maybe he doesn't see the interaction that he can kill Elspeth with the Chandra plus the dragon. Or maybe you just got a better plan.
Part of my concern here is if he's trying to set up some large creature with the intent of not killing Elspeth, Elspeth minus power simply kills it.
Yeah. And that's what looks like is going to happen. So Rurik-Thar is placed under the table. Yeah, that one ends up just not having a huge impact on the game because Elspeth is in play. And that, I just feel like that's, you know, you're not getting the most for your money there with Rurik-Thar.
Right.
And Rurik-Thar results has got to be huge.
Yeah, Ben doesn't even have to use a Supreme Verdict in this
spot.
spot.
He doesn't take 6 damage, you know, nothing.
And that turn going that way now gives Ben the breathing room he needs to resolve that Revelations for 3.
Yeah. And so Rurik-Thar's just going to go bye-bye. Because now Ben also has access to a bunch of his mana this turn to use as well if he wants to maybe deploy an Aetherling, something of that nature.
Yeah, he has a lot of options. To me, this feels like a really good spot to just rev. Because whatever Aaron adds to the table this turn is very likely to be a creature.
Okay.
In which case, you get to Revelate, and then untap and Supreme Verdict whatever additions Aaron made to his board.
Sure. Could also go after this Chandra this turn too, which is kind of interesting. He's just going to pass the turn back, it looks like. Yeah, just with the mana up. Do you like reffing on the main phase there?
No, I think I like it this way.
Okay. You can bluff a counterspell, or is it more important to try to hit the land drop, I guess is the question.
The thing is, this really compels Ben to play exactly Stormbreath Dragon if he has it right now, because with counterspells and chump blockers, there's no guarantee that any other threat you add to the table actually gets Elspeth out of play.
Sure.
So you're happy for Aaron to play a Stormbreath Dragon this turn if he has it available, because then you go Revelations, untap Supreme Verdict, and then you're really far ahead.
Yeah. Fnatic Xenagos is the card that is revealed here from Chandra. And, you know, just off of the matches that I've seen from Fnatic Xenagos over the course of this weekend, I'm just not all that impressed, I guess, with the card.
It has definitely stunk up the joint against blue-white.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think in normal creature matchups, this card's pretty well costed and good to go. And it is a 3-mana 4/4, which is not the end of the world here, and probably a pretty good play to make off of a turn 1 mana accelerant or what have you. But when we've had Aaron on camera here against blue-white, he's been drawing these Fnatic Xenagoses on turn 5 or what have you, and it's been pretty putrid.
We're playing Rampager, going to be targeted by the Satyr, but here is an Azorius Charm. And the attack was going to be at Elspeth to try to finish it off, but no good here. Yeah. Good old Azorius Charm, taking the fun away from everybody.
Well, it was fun for one person.
That's true. That's true. I do take that back. Someone had a great time. There's a Mutavault post-combat.
Detention Sphere, great draw for Aaron here.
Yeah, takes care of the Planeswalker. It's kind of funny. Detention Sphere is so good.
Yes.
It's almost just like kind of understated how good of a card that is, and how it literally just holds everything together for blue-white.
Yeah, some stuff gets, some stuff gets swept under the rug. It also allows you to just, your opponent plays something awesome and you can still Revelate.
Yeah.
Then untap and then use your mana to sweep up what's left over, hold up a counter spell, and lock the game up. We see that sequence so many times.
Yeah, it's just so understated. Just Detention Sphere just bridges the gap from the early to mid to late game, and it's just a fantastic card.
Great answer to Planeswalkers as well, of course.
5 mana, looks like it's Dragon time, and it is. See Stepka's hand again. He's got those Aetherlings, a Revelation. No answer to the Dragon currently. So we'll see what happens here. I think you got to shoot down Elspeth now.
Yeah.
Just putting too much stuff in the way.
I mean, maybe Aaron thinks that his one way to win this game was some sort of long ball Stormbreath Dragon or back-to-back Stormbreath Dragon sequence.
So that's good to go. And Cook is going to send over at the problematic Planeswalker, so that's going to bite the dust. And Cook's going to pass the turn back. So Stepka's going to take a draw. It's an island. That'll help towards Revelation. And it looks like, he's still got a Supreme Verdict in his hand. I'm not sure if he wants to cast it now, though.
Things are starting to turn around a little bit for Aaron here. It looks like he's another Stormbreath Dragon in his hand, and I'm not sure Ben can answer it.
Mutavault's going to be on block new. This is a little bit risky.
I do apologize for the confusion. We had some
Block 2 soldier
technical
tokens.
difficulties with
Cook's going to end up
our
taking
registration.
4. He's going to go 16. But if Stepka casts the Supreme Verdict, catching a Mutavault in that is a really, really big deal, actually.
Thank you for coming out
That's
this
exactly what's going to
morning.
happen.
My name is Sam Strauss. I'm an organized play representative for StarCgames.com.
So Verdi's going to clear everything up. Stormbreath Dragon is obviously an important one, but catching a Mutavault in that is really, really good.
Yeah, Ben's attack there feels like that's almost certainly what's happening there as a post-combat Supreme Verdict. The deck's just, that attack is so aggressive with Aaron at 20 that it can almost mean nothing else.
If you do not
That was another Stormbreath Dragon maybe that was drawn?
Yeah,
because he already has one in the hand.
Get one out to you.
It's time to deploy these things. So what's this?
As you may have noticed, the
Miscutter, okay.
alcohol, that does create a little bit of a bottleneck when you're going
That's gonna
to
be
get
for
your
5.
very
And I actually
first
like this a
round.
lot from Aaron.
Okay.
Getting him from 13 to 8 is critical with
Yeah.
Stormbreath Dragon in your hand.
Yeah.
Also, Ben tapped his Mutavault, and that's maybe the one window that you can attack with your Mistcutter Hydra, where Ben cannot chump block with the Mutavault.
Yeah, I agree.
So, that's a subtle thing there, but I really like Aaron leading with Mistcutter Hydra over one of his Stormbreath Dragons.
And if you look at how the mana adds up now too, because the Revelation's going to be for 5, that's going to put Ben up to 13. But then if Cook plays a Dragon this turn and attacks for 9, 13 minus 9 is 4, back to within Dragon range for 1 hit. So this actually ends up working out beautifully for Cook as he does deploy a Stormbreath Dragon. And he says, "Yeah, let's go."
His hand is what it is.
Yeah, I got hasty threats that are hard to answer. And now it looks like Mutavault's going to be on blocking duty. And so now this is going to put Stepka down to 4.
I think we're going to see.
And click Kelly.
We'll see how much this Rev is for. It might not be for 4. It might only be for 3.
Yeah, there might have been he might have not done it inside of combat there.
Yeah, and it's only for 3 as opposed to 4. And that could really end up mattering quite a bit now.
Keep an eye on your
I mean, if the top card of his deck is Supreme Verdict here, if he dies.
Yeah, the next one after, yeah.
Be missing your stuff.
Temple Deceit to draw here.
Its way up here.
And don't forget, he's already gone through 2 Supreme Verdicts. There's a finite number of that effect in his deck.
Yeah.
And finally,
I think he's looking at Angel of Serenity right now.
and drink off the table.
There's a
We
Mutavault.
wouldn't want your spirits of the
Nope,
labyrinth.
no Angel in the
no
grip.
Angel.
Yeah, it's 2 I think it's 2 Aetherlings and lands.
Just not a very good hand against the threats that Aaron has in play. And we saw this against Adrian too, where Adrian won pretty comfortably in the first game, I believe, even though he mulliganed to 5. And then in the post-board games, Adrian was, didn't mulligan, made all of his land drops, all that sort of stuff. Not in the third game, but the second game he did. But just the fact that these 2 cards are so hard to answer was enough for him to steal a game.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Dissolve will take care of Xenagos. This is really good play here by Cook too. I guess he just may have sensed that there was a counter spell over there from the opponent because he could have just slammed down a Stormbreath Dragon and chose not to.
Yeah.
Events are big in the Stop City.
389 in our Legacy tournament this weekend. Only 9 rounds. Really getting close to that 10 player flashpoint.
I think
there.
low 400s is the threshold for the 10th round, so we did not miss it by much.
As you see, Mutavault's going to jump in front of Mistcutter Hydra again. Dragon's going to put Stepka down to 3. Stepka again is in some serious trouble here. He draws a card.
It's Supreme
But
Verdict.
it is.
I don't think he has an answer to that follow-up dragon.
There's a Temple of Enlightenment. Time to scry.
I'll make sure you have at least 60 cards in the main deck. Enjoy these 60 seconds of contemplation.
That card's going to go down to the bottom. Now here is Supreme Verdict for the 2-for-1.
Attention, we are looking for the following player. If you're in the room, please make your presence known.
So that's gonna clear up the
by
dragon and
raising
Mistcutter
your hand
Hydra.
here so I can see you. Jeff Cosgrove, are you here?
And now if you're Stepka, you're just hoping. You see Cook getting a good look at the graveyard of what cards, or excuse me, Stepka taking a look at Cook's graveyard about what cards were sideboarded in.
Great.
That's 5 mana. Yep, it's time to play a dragon. And Aaron's going to smash in there, and that's going to get the job done. So we're going to go to game number 3 here between Ben Stepka and Aaron Cook. A very, very nice win there for Aaron.
Yeah, the mixture, we saw this yesterday again in the match against Adrian. The mixture of Mistcutter Hydra and Stormbreath Dragon is very taxing against blue-white control.
Yeah.
Ben got to do his thing that game.
Yes.
He drew cards and played Supreme Verdicts and had detention spheres for planeswalkers, all that stuff, but he just got hit too many times by creatures that were too large and too hard to kill.
And you see Stepka's immediately kind of going back to his sideboard, and Aaron is happy with his configuration. And it looks like to me, Patrick, he's very happy with his post-sideboard games against Revelation decks.
Yeah, no, he's looked very good on camera thus far against Adrian and here against Ben as well.
He looks very happy with his configuration, what his game plan is, and just trying to execute that moving forward. That's it. He's overloading. He's doing such a nice job of overloading Supreme Verdicts and Attention Sphere effects with Planeswalkers and haste threats.
Yeah, the real trick, in my mind, for this matchup is forcing the blue-white control player to tap out and having your own follow-up. There's so many threats in the green-red monsters list that have haste, Xenagos and Stormbreath Dragon and Mistcard Hydra. When you force them to tap out and react on your turn and you're hitting, you respond with something that hits them immediately and forces another response, and you're just taking these 3, 4, 5 chunks out of their life total each time, that's a really good pacing of the game for the green-red list. Yeah. That's why a threat like Palikronos, for as good as it is on paper and in so many matchups, is not the best suited for this matchup in particular, because it's just a thing that hits the table and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's something that it's the type of threat that gives an opening for the blue-white control player to resolve the big revelations or to play Elspeth and make 3 tokens or what have you.
Get a Zorius Charm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the exchanges that allows the control list the breathing space to then pull ahead.
Yeah.
As long as you're playing haste stuff, their responses aren't that efficient and they're taking damage the whole way through.
Yeah. And that is the key to beating blue-white. And the other nice thing too is that, that game, Stepka was able to resolve 2 revelations. They weren't the biggest revelations in the world, of course, but the ability to resolve 2 revelations and still be able to go toe-to-toe against a blue-white control deck, as Green Red Monster was able to do there. Comfortable playing a longer game is a positive in its favor.
Yeah. It isn't just, all right, Supreme Verdict on turn 4, I lose, which a lot of aggressive decks kind of fall to that.
Yeah, you're more red-green Blitz, Frog, and a Blender type decks that we've seen in years past. They would just fold to a verdict. Now, if the opponent doesn't have a verdict, they win. But if the opponent has the verdict, they lose. Because they just don't have any way to just rebuild or no depth, no real game plan past the initial rush.
Right.
But the fact that, this Green Monsters deck, it provides a solid clock. It's 1-by-1 threats as opposed to just dumping a bunch of stuff in play like via Burning Tree Emissary. But the fact that they have just this resiliency to be able to continue to play is really important.
Yeah, then the cost there, of course, is speed.
Yeah.
And we almost saw that come up for Aaron that game where he was did not have quite enough pressure early on. He was able to compensate for that by just having a high number of Mistcard Hydras and Stormbreath Dragons to steal the game.
Yeah.
But had those threats been Palikronoses or, the Xenagoses, his non-haste threats, his slower, attrition-y, more card advantage game, I don't think would have been good enough to beat the Revelation deck.
I agree. So you do see the sideboards on the screen there momentarily, and both players, again, I don't think they're going back to the drawing board at all. I think they're pretty pleased with their configs. I think Ben just took a look just to make sure he was happy with what he saw. He's got the deck list, obviously, as do both players, because you do get access to that during the elimination round, so you know everything that's coming, and both players are just going to move forward.
I think
soldier on.
I think that's a very common mistake when people are sideboarding against blue-white control decks. They say to themselves, I'm going to give myself more tools to go long. I'm going to give myself more card advantage, more discard spells, more planeswalkers, whatever. You can't outlaw blue-white control.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that you want more sources of card advantage so you don't just fold to a Supreme Verdict or to a single removal spell or what have you. But if your game plan is I'm going to win a 10-turn game against blue-white control, forget it. Even if your tools are better in the post-board games, they aren't better than Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah.
Nothing is. So you need to be supplementing all these kind of plans with aggression.
Yeah, that's a fine balance.
Yeah.
You can't just go towards discard, as you mentioned, because you can't stop the top card of their deck. And there will be games, and we've seen many on camera, and I'm sure you've played many at home, where they don't have any cards in the hand, they spike Revelation, and maybe you draw a discard spell after they spike the Revelation for X. Your discard spell effectively does nothing in that situation. And that can happen. Blue-white can invalidate a lot of your sideboard cards, depending on just how a game goes. So you have to find the right mix of cards that are effective against them. The combination of Mistcutter Hydra and Stormbreath Dragon and Planeswalkers is obviously one that is working quite well right now for Green Red Monsters.
And those are the perfect cards also, because if you're planning on bringing in these additional Planeswalkers, let's say to get a longer game, the game's going to go on for a long time, you're going to make more land drops. What are powerful cards to have, assuming you have a lot of mana in play? Stormbreath Dragon and Mistcutter Hydra at the top of the list.
Yes. And that's, again, one of the reasons that I really like this Green Red Monsters deck as a strategy overall in the standard format, is because it is an aggressive deck that does not mind having 6, 7, 8 mana in play. It does have access to Mutavault. It does have access to Temple of Abandon to smooth its draws, provide mana fixing, make sure you're drawing action spells. It's just an aggressive deck that it has a lot of options in play to it. And I always like those kind of aggressive decks as opposed to your all-in type decks.
Right. something to do with extra mana to justify playing more lands.
Yeah. As a big fan of Life in the Loam, I love a land. I like having lands in play. And I like the ability to not be unhappy when I draw a land. Like,
Yes.
on turn 6 or 7. I don't want to be, oh, God, another land, go. I don't want that to ever happen. So both players shuffling up here for game number 3. Of course, the winner of this match is going to do battle against Jonathan Abel, who's able to, derail Chris Van Meter's fantastic run here. He is your 5 seed in this tournament. He's got a, more retro take on green-red monsters. No coursers, no Xenagos, God of Revels. But it's obviously working out great for him.
Born of the Gods? What's that?
Yeah, don't need it. Thank you very much. We saw that in Nashville 2 weeks ago with Eric Brown, too. Didn't need it. I just need blue cards, islands, master waves, and Thassa, and I am good to go.
Aaron does not look thrilled with his cards.
That's a mulligan face. We were wrong.
He said, okay.
I thought that was a mulligan face. I was wrong. Temple of Enlightenment to start things off here for Stepka. Gonna leave that card on top, and we're underway here in game 3 of our semifinals. I believe that was an Arbor Colossus is the draw. Not positive. It's either a Mistcutter or an Arbor Colossus. It looked like an Arbor Colossus, though.
Arbor Colossus, if that is, it is an Aaron sideboard if I remember correctly. Yes, he does have 2 copies. That's another threat like Palakronos that I do not like in this kind of matchup.
Yeah,
it's expensive and does not impact the board the turn it comes into play.
I mean, I believe the reason that's there is, of course, because of the Angel of Serenities that Stepka has access to. But I don't think you win the Angel of Serenity war that way.
Right.
So here's a Temple of Deceit. And Stepka will pass the turn back to Cook, who led off with a Mutavault. There's a Forest. And here are the beatdowns. Stepka goes down to 18.
And Ben has to be thrilled with this opening.
Oh, yeah. Celestial Flare, the card drawn. There's a Mutavault, pass the turn back. Can't cast the Flare just yet, but does have an Azorius Charm in his hand, also representing Dissolve right now.
I think Ben is currently lacking double white in his hand. I think he has another Mutavault.
Risque. Getting in here again, there's an Azorius Charm. Yeah. That's that feeling. And now there's a Forest. Passing the turn back.
Several turns of extra development that Ben gets now.
Yeah.
And now he's found his second white source, so now he's really humming.
I think it's like a Jace to play or anything. Nope, just a Plains, pass the turn back. Cook's going to draw that Mutavault now.
Please find your seat as quickly as possible.
And we can pretty safely suspect at this point that Aaron is without red mana in hand.
Yeah.
Please wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. And that may aid, thank you. That will aid other people finding your seat or their seat.
Pass turn back to Stepka, who draws an island. And pass the turn back. So, I mean, even though he's not really doing much of anything right now, just playing draw go like this, he's got to be happy enough doing.
Right, I think that he's just setting up, he can counter anything this turn and then set up Elspeth on an uncontested board the following turn.
And there's Mistcutter Hydra. That's going to be for 3.
Again, if you do not have
And presumably, we're going to see that bite the dust from the Flare, so that's what's going to happen. So bye-bye first Mistcutter again. And, this looks like game number 1, too. And we saw that happen early in that game, but Cook was still able to pull it out. So it doesn't mean that's the end of the world at all.
Yeah, but the pacing of this game is quite a bit different.
Yes.
I mean, Ben doesn't even play around the possibility of Stormbreath Dragon next turn, because Aaron doesn't even have a red source of mana in play right now.
The 6 mana being tapped right now, so we can see an 8th wheeling in Elspeth. Yeah, Elspeth is insane right now.
Yeah.
Elspeth, obviously a very, very good card in this matchup, but given the board that Cook has right now, and no red mana to, snag it with a Stormbreath Dragon or anything like that, it's absolutely busted right now.
When you fill out the match slip, make sure it's
And now there is a
correct
mountain.
score. We had a couple of unfortunate situations yesterday where the match slip was filled out wrong. We didn't find out for a couple of rounds. It's too late for us to do something about that.
There's
Make
5
sure
mana.
that it is indeed the correct match
There's an Arbor
score.
Colossus.
You have both signed
And this is what we were talking about. This is a threat that's he could respond to with Elspeth's minus or a detention sphere. Places no immediate pressure on them.
The world is his oyster right now. He can do whatever he wants to take care of that 6/6.
Just confirming keywords there probably. Is that reach? Okay, not it's not hexproof, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please call a judge over to help you with your 5 extra
That's a juicy target for a detention sphere.
That's a nice one. And Ben's 2 leftover cards are as good as it gets here in Dissolve and Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for 2 better cards in this spot.
And, you could have Elspeth down there if Ben wanted to. But, I like the fact that he's detention swinging this and Elspething up because we're so close to the ultimate now. And by doing it this way also, Mutavault can't pressure the Elspeth either. So he's able to really close this game out really, really quickly. Checking off boxes, closing windows, all of that stuff.
Yeah, he has Dissolve to answer a potential Stormbreath Dragon. He has all of his tokens and Elspeth minus to answer Mistcutter Hydra. And it's doubtful any other card in Aaron's deck has the power level necessary to pull him out of the spot.
Yeah. So, Mr. Cook, what do we have for play this turn? Because we're going to need something, and it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, you can tell Aaron knows that the pacing of this game was just really horrible for him.
Yeah. Much different than what we saw last game. Not even quite sure the contents of his hand, but it would take a Bonfire of the Damned-esque card, I think, to get him back in this one. And even Counterspell that Stepka has, the Dissolve, kind of even invalidates a card that's not even legal. So,
we're drawing fairly slim.
yes, we are. So we're going to see this. This feels like a Gore Clan Rampager-esque thing here. The important thing here, if you're Stepka, is you can block with just 1 soldier confidently, because that turns the Mutavault into a 6/6, 6-5. 6-1 is 5 for trample damage, so Elspeth still won't bite the dust.
I think it's still worth putting the second token in front of him just to force him to have it.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, yeah.
Because if Ben blocks with only 1, Aaron might just say, okay, that's fine. Do something else with my mana.
Yeah, I don't like blocking with 3. I think it's either 2, 1, or none.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that.
And 3 soldiers are going to bite the dust. And so now Stepka's going to quickly untap here. He'll take a draw step. There's another copy of Mutavault. Another land is ideal in this situation, obviously. That's going to make Revelation for 1 more life, but more importantly, 1 more card, as Elspeth's going to tick up to 4. 3 soldiers will come into play, and the other 3 are going to come into the red zone, not cooked down to 14.
I understand Ben wants to set up a big Revelation this turn. I would have actually considered just beating him up with Mutavaults and leaving up Dissolve.
Yeah. Really just put the pressure on.
Because, if Aaron doesn't play anything good enough to even induce or dissolve this turn, it's, who cares? You can't really lose.
Sure, I mean...
Most likely, you're going to have to dissolve something.
Yeah, sure.
He'll play something good and you dissolve it.
See if this 3-mana spell is going to be. Looks like a Fanatic as any goes.
Someone's getting a 4/4.
Yeah.
Actually, you might get a 3/3 haster. Yeah. I guess it's actually not unreasonable.
You can have that guy. That guy's just going to stay there. That's fine.
You choose.
Yeah, sure.
Which one would you like?
Ben Stepka's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
You see a follow-up play here of Domri. But all this just feels a little too late. How much does he even care about Domri right now when he has Revelation in his hand? Revelation's going to be for 5. He's got 3 Mutavaults to pressure that. He's got Elspeth to pressure that as well. He's got all the answers on the table already for Domri.
Yeah. I don't think this Domri is good enough to worth dissolving, even if the last card in Ben's hand besides the dissolve was a land.
Yeah.
Since it's at the cost of him revving this turn, then you just got to let it go.
And now here is your Sphinx's Revelation for 5. So Stepka's got 5 life coming, but more importantly, 5 brand new cards as he goes up to 23 life. And after he draws his card for his turn, he's going to have a full 7 cards in grip. You see a lot of lands drawn there, but that's okay.
I In some respects, I feel a little bit bad for Aaron because I actually think Fnatic of Xenagos is a reasonable tournament level card and may actually have a home in a deck like this or a slightly different version of this deck. But every time it's shown up on camera, it's just been the wrong guy for the party.
The word you're looking for is horrible. That's what you're looking for. I don't really pull any punches. It has looked terrible every time it's been cast. Not to say that card isn't good in appropriate matchups. And I mean, who are we kidding? He's in the top 4 of this tournament.
I think it's in really low end red green builds. It could be good.
Yeah, and, hyper aggressive versions of the deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. But against blue-white, and this obviously goes back to all the punish and tribute cards, just giving your opponent a choice, no matter how powerful the cards are. And this is maybe arguably the most powerful punisher/tribute card that we have seen. Just all right, you got a 4/4. Feel free.
I still have a lot of hope for the Phoenix. I think the Phoenix is going to be good.
It would be nice if that card was good. It would be nice. I think it takes a certain set of circumstances in a certain format for that card to be good, but it's a cool card that I wish would see some play as Dahmer's going to bite the dust here from the soldier tokens, and up goes Elspeth. So you see Stepka, he's working his way towards closing this one out here.
Yeah, it was not a great rev. It looked like just Jason and Lands.
Yeah, mostly garbage. Still has the dissolve. He's got the 3 Mutavaults, though. I mean, truthfully, I feel like he's got already what he needs to get the game over with. It just takes some slogging through over the course of a few turns to get the job done here.
And just to be also careful not to run into anything needlessly.
Yeah, I mean, look at his life total. He's sitting at 23, and we're on turn, 9 or 10 in this game? He's got to be in at 8, for something to really turn around here and for Cook to really threaten things. But Cook just hasn't really done much of consequence. And, we can also just go back to that Azorius charm on the Mutavault. That's just, that's just backbreaker, I guess is the term I'll use as far as what happens there. Absolute backbreaker.
Aaron looks like he's revving up here to try to go after Elspeth yet again.
We're going to see some blocks here. Whole bunch of creatures. And no Rampager here, so a bunch of trades are going to take place. A bunch of soldiers are going to die. So 4 soldiers in front of Fnatic. The Mutavault in front of the Mutavault. Trades happen. Nothing happens to Elspeth. Nothing happens to life totals, of course. And now post-combat, we're going to have a Domri, which will probably only get 1 activation. Or none activations.
It's a little surprising. I think with no ability to protect it, the worst case scenario is, Aaron draws a card and then you kill it.
Yeah.
I think that's a little aggressive use of the dissolve there. It's possible he wants to use his mana this turn just going pure beatdowns with Mutavaults. I don't know.
Oh, there's a Rev. That probably closes every window on this game. As in come the 4 soldier tokens. Cook's going to go down to 10. Elspeth will make 3 more here in a second. Between these soldiers and the Mutavaults and the Revelation hand, I think it's as close to impossible as it can be for Aaron Cook to get back into this one. Even doesn't have access to triple red mana right now. If there's a card like Mizium Mortars, coming into the equation, as here's a Gore-Clan Rampager. Aaron's saying, you're a little late. Fast to turn back.
Aaron's being a very good sport about this. I mean, he's aware that, this third game has not been terribly competitive.
Yeah.
Mulliganed into a pretty bad hand, and Ben's draw was quite good.
Revelation for 6 right now from Ben. He's going to go up to 29. And it looks like if you're Ben Stepka, you've got 1 more green-red monsters deck to get through.
Yeah.
But it's a very skilled player on the other side in Jonathan Abel. He played a nice match against Chris Van Meter. And his build is a little bit different, again, with no Coursers, no Xenagos, God of Revels, playing Boon Satyr, which can really have an impact in this matchup as a flash threat.
Yeah, it's all part of the, what can you do to follow up once they Supreme Verdict you? Having a Boon Satyr in your hand is pretty good in that spot.
So Aaron's going to do the math here, seeing if I activate Mutavaults and you block Mutavault, what happens? I've also got a D-Sphere here to take care of your Rampager, so there's a D-Sphere. Bye-bye goes Rampager. We're going to see some activations on Mutavaults. We are. Creatures, Red Zone. And once the damage is added up, an extension of the hand. Ben Stepka going to win this match over Aaron Cook 2-1, and he is headed on to the finals here in St. Louis to play against Green Red Monsters one more time. He'll be playing against Jonathan Habel, and we're going to see how that is going to break down here. Impressive win there from Ben. It looks like, again, game one I think is in his favor, and he's got to sneak out one of those sideboarded games. That's the key.
Yeah, the second game that Aaron won was a pretty good case study in what needs to happen for Green Red Monsters to win the match, because Ben was able to do his thing. It wasn't like he missed land drops or just kind of flooded out and died or whatever. He was casting spells, and it just involved planeswalkers that necessitated some one-for-one answers or